So welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. And today is Friday, February the 10th, 2023. And our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And we'll give Michael a moment to dial in. And actually, Dr. Tim's just texted me wanting to know if I'm on. So let him know yes. Okay. So we did a few changes on the website. So you can go out and check it out if you go to whyagain.org. And then go over to Heartland. The group is going to be using the facility in August, and they were wanting to know, what Heartland looked like and everything. So there is actually a Heartland photos page, and I put out photos of the different buildings and the bell tower and examples of the food being prepped, the kitchen, several pictures of Ari, people sitting around the dining table eating, also the teaching and the classroom and energy field work. There's just lots of pictures out there. You might be in one of them. And I was able to finally, it took me a while to find the picture of the big heart. If you've ever been to Heartland in the Heart Center, there was a group there several years ago, and they actually created tiles. I think they were like 16-inch square tiles, and most of them are blue like water. And then they made some red ones, and they made this huge heart in the Heart Center out of those tiles. And it's absolutely beautiful. And actually, when they were making it, they would write in before the cement hardened. They would write on the back side of it, like love or joy or peace or whatever. So each tile has words of love into each tile, and then they put them all together. It's absolutely gorgeous. So you can go out there and you can look at those pictures. They are out there now. And Michael has joined us, so I'll let him bring you up to date on what's happening. And welcome, Michael.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. Yeah, there was an awesome crew there that year. We were actually away and had no idea that that's what they were doing, but they actually set up a small tile factory and manufactured these beautiful colored tiles. And then there was a gentleman his thing was doing tile. He kind of directed the whole operation, and he cut out of these 16-inch concrete tiles that are about, quarter of an inch thick. He cut out this 12-foot heart. So that's right on the floor of the Heart Center. So it was pretty sweet to come back that year from being on the road and see what they'd done. And, we'd taken out, if you were in the Heart Center before this work was done years ago, the early days, there were 2 little bathrooms in the Heart Center right in the main meeting room. They removed those and put a set of, how many were there, 6 or 7 bathrooms outside of the building, so it expanded the space in the Heart Center and gave us more bathroom space. And it's just, over the years, when I talk about this, there's so many people that come to mind that dug in and created just all kinds of unique things. Patrick, bless his soul, he's moved on from his body, but he had a vision for creating a bell tower. We'd been talking about one for years, and he had a vision for doing it. And Terry Bowling, actually, when he was there, he had connected the state was I think it was federal. It was on a park property. They had some bathrooms that were perfectly beautiful stone, really beautiful stonework. But they had money to spend and had to spend it, so they tore out this beautiful stonework to build new bathrooms so they could spend your money. And Terry was in the right place at the right time, and he helped to do that project for them. And they said, "Here you go, take it." So he had this gorgeous. I'm not even sure exactly what you'd call the stone, but Patrick had the vision of creating a bell tower. So it's about, I don't know, how tall is it? About 16 feet tall, about probably 10 feet in diameter. I've never measured it, but anyway, it was pretty cool. And all the creative efforts that people have done in upgrading that property and getting it to be a platform for this work to jump off of. And it looks like this summer, probably the middle part of July, we don't have dates firmly set yet, but the middle part of July, we're going to do a 16-day food fund forgiveness and work program. And then we're leaving space for a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive. And then we have a group that does Steiner work and educational work, and they actually are using the forgiveness process with kids in the classroom. And so they're coming to do a 10-day intensive with a group of people. So we're going to have some activity for the first time since 2019. Looking forward to it and excited about it. Well, pardon me, I shouldn't say some activity for the first time. Intensive activity, because Michael Teddy was there and did a bunch of stuff on the property, and Julie's been there all along, you know, helping to keep things in shape and get grass cut and get trees cut, and just all kinds of projects have been going on even while the center's been closed. That's actually been one of the challenges, because it's for the last, well, since 2019, it's been kind of a money sink with no cash flow created by it. And us not being on the road, it's created some challenges with cash flow. But, you know, things are rocking on. We're going to do the next level of upgrade to Heartland this summer. So if you want to be part of that, let us know. Drop Jeanie an email, JEANIE at WHYagain.org. That's our website. And we, yesterday, Jeanie put the latest question and answer session on forgiveness onto, is it on our YouTube channel, Jeanie? The new one from Yinka?
I actually don't have it up yet. That was next on my to-do list.
Oh, well, your to-do list is so long. Thank you for everything you do, and when it gets done, it'll get done. But keep an eye for it. So we had a good question and answer session with the Hear My Voice Book Club out of London, England, and that video will be up when complete. And then we actually did a session yesterday, and when we get that one from Yinka, we'll post it. We're not going to be doing, we usually do the second and fourth Thursday with this Hear My Voice Book Club, but the woman who leads it is going to take a week for self-care that week, so we won't be doing a session the second Thursday of the month, but we'll be back to it on the second and fourth the following month. And let's see, what else is happening? We've got, we're changing up, because we've got a couple of folks in Europe participating in the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club. And we've all along for the last, 15 or so months that the club's been going, we have done a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time, and then a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Well, 7 p.m. ends up being, I don't know, something like 3 a.m. in London or in Spain, where Julie Matthews is, and where Yinka is, and they're both participants. So we've changed that up, and now our Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club, again, it will be the second Saturday of the month and the second Sunday of the month, both days at 11 a.m. So that allows folks that are 6 hours ahead of us in time to participate at a reasonable hour, and makes it a pretty reasonable time across the country. So that's kind of what's underway. And let's see, beyond that, well, working on a new book. I started to work on rewriting Why Is This Happening to Me Again, and I've been refining a digital book that I'm not sure what the publishing time is going to be, but we're not too far away probably from publishing it, and we're going to do it digitally. So it'll be a digital book with all kinds of links in it. You can go to videos, you can go to audios. We're working on permissions for some other people's work. And we talk a lot about Neil Seth and his work as neuroscience. And so we're going to be communicating with him to see if we can permission to put his video into our book, so that you'll be able to just click links. And it looks like probably we're going to put it on Amazon, and it's going to be $2.99, so it'll be inexpensive. Anybody will be able to afford it. And And being digital, as we learn new things, with the old Why Is This Happening to Me Again book, it's 30 years old now, or pretty close to it, maybe not quite 30. And of course, it's in print, so there's nothing we can really change about it unless we republish, which we're thinking about doing. But this digital book, if we learn something new, we'll change the video link, or we'll change the video behind the link, and come up with the latest information. So we'll be continuously updating it. And so I hope that you'll support us when we get that. One of the keys to getting it out there, especially through Amazon, is the number of sales that you make in a given day gives you a rating, which gives you exposure. So we'll ask you to keep that in mind, and when we're ready to publish it, we'll be putting it out there, and we'll ask everybody to pick the same day to go out and buy the book for $2.99, and then that'll give us a rating on Amazon, and will give us a whole lot more exposure. And so we're looking at several different things. So things are rocking on. Beyond that, of course, the whole place we're heading is to that process of forgiveness. Jeanie, do we have anybody in the phone queue with a hand up, or anybody in the chat room with a thought for us?
It is all quiet.
Well, yesterday we had a gentleman call in and was sharing some relationship information, some relationship issues. And I got a really sweet text from him this morning. And his comment was, I was someone else yesterday, but I am born again. Of course, there's a connotation of that comes out of churchianity that is not what the real born-again experience is about, but that seeing himself in a whole new light. So maybe if Joe's out there, he'll click one and tell us more about exactly what's happening in the way of insight and process for him. And beyond that, things are rocking. And I just got a text from Julie. I don't know if she might happen to be on the show, but she was saying she couldn't download the message for the Munchifter session tomorrow. So we'll have to send it to her via WhatsApp, or maybe email, or maybe you've already sent an email, Jeanie. I had sent her a message just saying
on my list for today too.
All right. Well, my list, what I was doing before the show was out chopping leaves to put on the new garden space. We've got about 90% of the soil spread. We've got a mulch layer and a soil layer and a cardboard layer, and the grass is composting underneath the cardboard layer, and we're soon going to be ready for planting native species, endangered species, plants, seeds. If anybody happens to have, one of the things we're having a challenge with is finding them. We've been told by the Department of Natural Resources representative here in the state of Virginia that, well, these companies, they want to deal with, like, big farmers are going to plant 200 acres or 500 acres or 1,000 acres. They're really not too interested in your 100 by 25 foot native species garden. So they're not going to sell to you. So I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. We're maybe just going to have to go out and dig some native plants up and replant them and nurture them and see what happens.
And when we speak of native plants, it's native to Southwest Virginia. So
right.
It's something that's native to your state. It might not be native to Virginia. So that's another issue. And then we're finding things like there's only 2 clovers that are native to this area, and they're both on the endangered list, and they will not sell you the seed. I guess they're afraid that you're going to grow it and then sell it because it's endangered. But anyway, so yeah, we're running into lots of little issues there.
And the idea, what we're working on, if you haven't been on the show, we've talked about it, we have had a few short conversations about it, is that as we've been developing our garden spaces and building soil, we've been learning, and recently learned, like within the last few weeks, that there are hundreds of different pollinators, like 500 different kinds of bees native to America. Many of them, not all of them, but many of them can only reproduce, can only create the next generation if the plant that they've co-evolved with is available to them. Like you can't just put any old plant out and, this caterpillar comes along that creates a pollinating moth. And I was surprised. I didn't know that moths are one of the major pollinators of the world. But if it grew up with this plant and, the builder went in and wiped that out and the farmer went in and wiped that out and they're just disappearing it, then these moths can't reproduce. I mean, literally there's one plant they can work with and otherwise they're gone. And in the last 10 years, it's been something like 60% of insect species it's extinct on planet Earth, gone. And without these insects, and of course, we don't tend to have a love affair going as humans with insects, but without them, literally, we're not going to eat. Because if those pollinators aren't active, then we don't have food. So anyway, we're just, one small effort here that we're doing, and we're inviting and inspiring, or hopefully inspiring. You can look on our webpage or on the website, and whyagain.org / Jeanie, is that the link?
There are a couple links, and I actually put a link in the notes for today, but there's Homegrown Park is one link, and then there's links to the others from that one. So,
right. So it's whyagain.org / homegrown park.
Yes.
So if you jump on that, your video links, story, pictures of what we're doing. It's just a small scale, but at least we're doing something in the direction of supporting these native species plants. Aside from supporting human beings functioning as love, functioning as human beings. So we're delighted that you're part of the conversation, and if you're out there in listener land and you have a thought or a question for us, something you need support with, then please push 1 and ask your question. I had several people who were really relating to the Course in Miracles lesson that we talked about yesterday. And so I had a thought that I might, and my phone is having trouble opening that part of the notes so that I can access. That material is just running slow.
You did have a hand just go up, so while you're looking for that, I'm going to turn on Miss Celinda, 541. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning or afternoon. How are you doing?
We are rocking, doing well. How about you, young lady?
Yep. Getting really committed to those worksheets, Michael. Thank you for making them so simple.
Yeah, I'm really liking the new one. That's going to become our standard. I think it's finally gelled in a way that is as simple as it can possibly be and yet takes people as deep as possible. Actually, when we get the video back from yesterday's Hear My Voice book club, we did that worksheet, so we'll have a video with the whole explanation where I go through the whole worksheet with someone, and it'll be right there on the YouTube channel as soon as we get it from Yinka. So
yes, and I would.
You got my messages?
Thank you. I'm not sure. Did you just send me a message today?
No, but I tried to reach you last night. I had seen that you had called me, and then I called you a few days ago.
Did you get my little text in reply? about my magic finger. I'll resend it to you. It was an accident, dear heart.
Okay.
Jeanie, I hope you don't mind me calling all of you, dear heart, including Michael.
Not at all. That's awesome.
Go for
Thank
it.
you.
I am starting to do that. I figured at 78, the fastest way that I can start learning how to be love extending is to call everybody dear heart or dear one. And so it's pretty humorous sometimes, the responses I get. But people have been really kind in our little community, and they say, oh, well, she's on some kind of like, so that'll be okay. Maybe she'll come out of it, but they're going to be surprised. Now that I have license to do that because I'm going on 79.
There you go.
And also I have a comment to make, a couple of them, about what you were talking about, the garden, and how the big institutions, government and otherwise, just aren't doing business with backyard gardens, which is very often the attitude about permaculture or any regenerative agriculture, because they have decided in their brains that, oh, that's just pie in the sky stuff. But anyway, the state of Oregon has an invasive weeds program. And you mentioned the last 10 years we've lost 60% of our pollinating species, or endangered species. And it reminds me of Zach Bush's little videos on YouTube where he has shown a distinct rise in the last 10 years, maybe 20 years, but mostly 10 years, in the rate of glyphosate use by big institutions, and not
horrendous.
Big institutions, the backyard gardener, the backyard person. That is just
Your voice is moving off into the distance. So, Linda, your voice is moving off into the distance, and we're losing you. So if you could stay closer to your phone.
Okay, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Can you hear me now?
I got you.
That the state of Oregon has a very intense invasive species program, and we are mandated to get rid of any invasive species. And glyphosate is just used like crazy, and the state will come in and spray if you don't spray, or if you don't manually remove, or if you don't whatever. They want all of these quote-unquote defined invasive species out, including you can't even have one in your garden.
Do you think
and
that
where I'm going
my question with that, before you go with that, my question would be, is it really about invasive species, or is it really about a major political donor wanting their poison to be used?
Well, it can be that too, and it's also the major economic paradigm on which the world runs. That is part of an overarching paradigm that started under the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Anyway, but that's, and our Aramaic gospel work, so I know it's an inside job. There is a wonderful book written by an Oregon State University professor who is a permaculturalist and has done work both in the laboratory and in the field. And she wrote a book called The War on Invasive Species. And I suggest that to you, not because she is in an either-or camp, but she's just asking to bring reason to this whole process. I find it a fascinating book, so I thought I'd share it with you, because we'd rather blame this particular plant than look at our own behaviors and what we have done to the land.
It's us that have done it. The whole projection game is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All the way around.
So I share that with you or anybody else who's interested in regenerative agriculture, bringing back our native pollinators. and bringing some sort of sanity to this whole process, that might be a book. Her name is Dow Orion. Are you there?
We're here.
Oh, good. I just heard some scratching. I thought maybe we were being disconnected. So the author is Dow, T-A-O, just like the Tao Te Ching, Dow Orion, O-R-I-O-N. And the title of the book is The War on Invasive Species, I believe is the name of it.
I see. She's got one that's also Beyond the War on Invasive Species. So just looking it up. We'll make sure to get hold of it.
Look at that right away. Well, that book, I'll look up that other one too, and that OSU, Oregon State University, documentary that I shared with you a while back about the Symphony of Life, which I had mentioned has been my hands down most fond documentary about the earth than anything I have ever seen, bar none. And
the Symphony
I
of Life.
recommend it. Symphony of Life starts out with a hardcore scientist talking about the earth, and it ends up with a little Jewish professor who is talking about the creation story and the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. And it's a delight. It's a delight.
Cool. And where can you watch that video?
You know, I suspect that you could just duck it. That's what I do. You could just find out by going online and researching. And,
so you don't have a source for it?
Well, it comes out of Oregon State University. Just let me look at it real quick. If I can get it out here.
Yeah, it looks like her book is Beyond
the Soil. Pardon?
It looks like her book is Beyond the War on Invasive Species. I don't find one that's called. It's actually.
Yes, that's it.
Permaculture Approach to Ecology.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, it's Beyond the War. Yeah, and then the Symphony of the Soil. Symphony of the Soil is a New York Times critics pick. A documentary by Deborah Koons, Koons Garcia, director of the Future of Food. And
what was the title again?
Symphony of the Soil, and they have a website, www.symphonyofthesoil.com. And you might be able to buy it from that.
Cool.
It's a great. It's. I don't know how to describe it.
Are you talking about the DVD? A DVD of that? Is that what you're talking about?
The DVD of the Symphony of the Soil. I got Beyond the War on Invasive Species. I got that from Aid Books for $4 or $5. You know, I just
I'm looking right now at Symphony of the Soil, $160. Somebody's really proud of that DVD. Somebody's really proud of that Blu-ray.
No, I paid $20. Are you sure that's not for a group showing? You know,
I'm looking at it.
It says rent for $5.99.
Yeah. Well, they've changed it because I bought the thing for.
There is one available. There is one available on eBay, and it's $160. Somebody's really proud of it. Yeah. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, it's Larry and I watch it every now and then. We share it. We watch it. It's incredible.
Cool.
It's worth renting for $5.99 just to see it. But I like to watch it over and over, especially that last little 5 minutes with the old Jewish professor. It's sweet.
Right. Awesome.
So between those two, maybe we can hold the earth up, support her.
Well, there are a lot of people working on it, thank God.
Oh, I know. It's coming. The lights are shining all over the planet, Michael and Jeanie.
Yes.
Your vision of the little points coming out that you had, when it's ground roots, when it's truly ground roots, that you can't stop it. It's impossible. Spirit comes out, and Spirit speaks to each one of us first, is what I'm finding out. Each one, individually, one-on-one. Yeah. You remember
Rock
the
and roll.
old church? You remember the old church masses, like on Christmas Eve, where they darken the cathedral and they light a candle?
Are you breathing?
I'm doing my best. It's just awesome. It's so awesome. Brings joy to my heart.
Sweet.
I cry easily out of joy. I cry when a horse takes off in a race, when ballet happens. It's a sweet feeling. Yep. It's cleansing, Tears of joy are just as cleansing as tears of pain and sorrow.
I'm with you. Well, thanks for that input. That'll add to our study.
Thank you. And I'm enjoying all of your references about the gardening, because the regeneration of the human spirit starts with our relationship to Mother Earth and our relationship to Father God.
Definitely have to heal from the ground up.
That's it. And from the top down. It takes both Mother and Father. It really does.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm with you on that.
It's sunny. We're going to rock on a walk today.
Nice. Well, enjoy. I'm going to be out shredding leaves and going in and digging up some mycelium soil that we found to add to our new garden.
I shredded mushrooms all over my garden last year. Now I have to find out if they're edible. But we're still covered within 6 to 8 inches of snow minimum. It's melting off. We're in our February thaw before March hits us again. And there's no getting in the garden till April. So I will vicariously enjoy the garden by listening to you and Jeanie.
Cool. And it looks like maybe that Symphony of the Soil is available on YouTube.
Oh, really? Free?
It looks like it. Well, my phone is having a little trouble accessing it, but it's showing that it's 1 hour and 44 minutes and 25 seconds.
That's about it. That's it.
And I'm not able to start it. I've clicked on it, but I think because my phone's on. Oh, there it is. Symphony of the Soil. Oh, that's just a review of it, or a trailer. Right. Anyway, we'll keep looking. Thank you for that input. We'll definitely take a look at it.
Yeah, because I remember I got it, I think, from online. I got it from buying it from the symphonyofthesoil.com, but I'm not sure. But hey, I've had this for at least 10 years, if not 15. Yeah.
Cool.
All
Sweet.
right.
Awesome.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other thoughts for you, young lady?
No, I'm not. That's what I had to share today.
Thank you.
I shared
Appreciate
some.
you.
I shared some with Dr. Tim, so you'll hear if you go back and listen to his show. Okay.
Sweet.
Take care.
All right, young lady.
Bye now.
It does look like it's there. It does look like it's there as a free watch on YouTube. I just accessed it and it's running. So how cool is that?
It's the full movie. How about that?
It's the full movie.
Ooh, all right.
Full movie, free.
All right.
Now there's somebody who believes in somebody that believes in what they're doing. I'm just subscribing to their channel. Actually, it looks like a channel out of India.
Well, India's popping right now, according to everything that's coming out of OSU and Trees for the Future and all of those groups. By the way, did you ever were you ever able to contact John Leary, or did I drop the ball because somehow I was supposed to be an intermediary?
No, I have not had contact with him.
Maybe I'll reestablish, see if I can't connect with him. He's stepped down from directorship, and he's now in another position there. So maybe it's time for me to email him and ask him, because I know he was really important as a director, and he had to get on some sort of conference call to even talk to somebody. So, yeah. All right.
Awesome.
If you'd like me to do that, I'll just look into it again.
Sure, everything we can do to connect and bring it all together. If we don't heal from the ground up, we're in trouble. So that's really an important topic.
Right. And that's all that free training too, Michael. You can absolutely get all of their free training if you go to the website and sign up for it. Total access.
You're talking about Symphony for the Soil?
Trees for the Future. Their whole program that they go in field when they're invited in, and villagers invite them in, and the village. I think they've expanded out now to where they'll go to an individual farmer, because they have all of these trained resource people who live there, natives, locals that live there. So they go out and train the individual farmer, and they're transforming. And most of these individual farmers have 1 acre, and that's it. And they're transforming them from. Go ahead.
Trees for the Future?
Or just trees.org. Either one will get you there, because I think what they're using mostly now is trees.org.
Cool.
And you can write up and you say, how do I access your training material? It's totally free. You can download it, copy it and put it on your computer. As far as I understand, there's no restrictions. I'll ask, but I'm pretty sure there's no restrictions.
They believe in what they're doing.
It's all free. Oh, yeah, and they've been working for 30 years. Started out as a little nonprofit, so that's good. Little nonprofit. That's where they started.
Yeah, there's out behind our home, there is an old farmer's field. Now, I don't know whether it's an old farmer or an old field, but anyway, one of the thoughts I've had is contacting the people that own that and see if they'd be interested in making it into a national park and a microforest. I think that's another big move that we can make on a small scale, is to create these microforests that are restoring native species, giving habitat. And so lots of things to do in the world besides our own healing work. And when we put it all together, it grows. So thanks for being on the team.
It's all networking. I don't care whether it's the spirit or the land or our communities or our governances. I like to call that, because governments are just another bureaucratic institution. And so, when we come together, when we wake up, it's going to be a big party.
Yeah, I think we need to put into the equation. I'd like to offer too that government is just a gathering of people.
That's
it's no different than any other organization. And I think sometimes we become jaded by it. I think there are a lot of really seriously concerned and caring and integritous people involved in government that are doing their best to bring forward what is there to support people. And unfortunately, whatever organization, ultimately, any organization that has a lot of cash involved, ultimately, a lot of money. I don't care whether it's a church, whether it's a Baptist church or a Catholic church or whatever. The criminals are going to, or the government, the criminals are going to move toward where the money is and do their best to take it over. So we hear all kinds of, derogatory things about this church or that church or the evangelicals or the Catholics or what have you, or this government or that government. And yeah, unfortunately, money attracts criminals, so there is that element. But there's also, I think, a powerful element of really good, decent, caring people in every one of those organizations that are looking to bring forward the best.
And that's right. And when we get our clarity of perception and we are operating from that decency, honesty, and integrity place, that we see them and we feel them. And it's a heart to heart and Christ mind to Christ mind interchange. It's community, it's family.
Yes. And the blocks are all smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
All right, young lady, well, appreciate you. I did get your note, and it clarified some things, and thank you for that donation. That will help. We're putting together funding for a new roof on one of the buildings at Heartland and getting ready for a summer season. So thank you for that support.
Well,
it's appreciated.
That's why I sent it, because it was what we could do. So
fabulous.
And I'd rather do that than buy something.
All right. Well, either way works for support. So appreciation.
Very good. All right.
All right. Take care.
And mine
Blessings.
for that new digital book. Okay. Blessings. Bye-bye.
All right. Blessings. Bye-bye. All right. So, Miss Jeanie, we've got about 17 or 18 minutes left.
We have
Anyone
18
in the phone queue with a hand up?
There are several people in the chat room and several people on the switchboard. And I just actually got a text. I was checking on Sarah. You know, she's part of our Mind Shifters group, and she has tested positive for COVID again. So I was checking with her earlier to see how she was doing. Space for her, she said not too bad, sleeping and resting a lot and doing a lot of prayer sheets, which is what she calls the wake-up sheets.
Cool.
So,
well, we'll hold the space for her, extending love in her direction and in the direction of anyone else with challenges. So do we have anybody else in the phone queue with a hand up? We have time. Yes, let's talk about it.
You were looking for that other Course in Miracles thing. Did you find it?
Yes, I did. I got it open.
Okay.
So our call-in number, if you're on one of those stations that we can't see in our control panel, is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show. And if you push 1, then we'll be having a conversation. Jeanie will introduce you by your area code. So let's talk about it. What's on your mind? 563-999-3581. Otherwise, let's take a look at, do you have a thought for us, Jeanie?
No, I was just going to say no. There's no hands up and no question in the chat room, so I'd just say go for it.
Do it. All right. So the this particular piece of information that comes from the Course talks about the idea of each teacher is a teacher in order to be a student, and that's so true. It's like, as opposed to coming from a space of the teacher has all knowledge and someone else doesn't, the teacher acquires knowledge and awareness by teaching, if they're really teaching something that's true and alive. Now, of course, you can take something from a book and you can put it in your head and be rote, and you can put it out to another. But the real root of the word education is educarian. It means to draw out, not to put in. So the Course speaks of it this way. When pupil and teacher come together, a teaching-learning situation begins. For the teacher is not really the one who does the teaching. The Creator's teacher speaks to any two who join together for learning purposes. In other words, once you join with another, there is a level of energy that enters that relationship that will guide and teach within that relationship. It goes on to say you're not two selves in conflict for what is beyond the Creator. If you who hold him and he holds, whom he holds, are the universe, all else must be outside where nothing is. In other words, if we're stuck in that illusion, if we're living in that illusion, then we're stuck. Whatever we think is outside of us, we think that because we've bought into this perceptual game that disconnects us, that our eyes see falsely, our ears don't hear correctly. And when we get back to true connection, I love how Einstein says, he says, if you think you're separate or separated from the rest of humanity, you're living in an optical delusion. So it's not beyond yourself. So each teacher, learner, has gratitude and has joined with yours and the Creator's to strengthen your faith in what you taught. For what you taught is true. Alone you stand outside your teaching and apart from it. But with others you must learn that you but taught yourself and learn from the conviction you shared with them. To me, one of the awesome gifts of this radio show is that we get to connect with so many minds that have done so much work in so many directions that we've never thought of. And each time someone steps in with a question or a thought, it opens a whole new perspective and a whole new possibility in comprehending this wholeness. And I think we are, as humans, designed to be able to comprehend wholeness. We tend to get stuck in that little self, but we're really designed. This latest telescope that they put up there that's just showing this universes beyond universes beyond universes, beyond comprehension for our little habit minds. But when we step outside of that, when we forgive and let loose of our attachment to that separated mind, then comes a mind that has a level of understanding and a level of comprehension that's beyond anything we've ever imagined. So the teaching is a teaching of self, really. The lesson goes on to say, this year you'll begin to learn and make learning commensurate with teaching. You have chosen this by your own willingness to teach. Though you seem to suffer for it, the joy of teaching will yet be yours. For the joy of teaching is in the learner who offers it to the teacher in gratitude and shares with him or her. As you learn, your gratitude to self, who teaches you what he is, will grow and help you honor him. And you will learn his power and strength and purity and love as the Creator does. So it's like putting on a new suit of clothes. It's putting on a new mind, a mind that doesn't have limits, that doesn't have an end, a mind that is totally and completely perfect and eternal. And what this particular lesson says is all this is you and nothing outside of this is you. You are the learner. Ultimately, the Creator is the teacher. Do not confuse your role with His, for this will not bring peace to anyone. Offer your empathy to Him, for it is His perception, His strength that you would share. And let the Creator offer you the strength that is truly yours. When we live in separation, we live in littleness. We live in an optical delusion that comprehends nothing, that wants to comprehend everything but comprehends nothing. It's not until we open to that other mind and we're willing to let go of perception, we're willing to let go of memory. It's to trust rather than leaning on the strength of your own perceptual apparatus, and to attempt through carbon-based memory to remember everything you need to remember to understand, is trusting in littleness. And how much more powerful is it if we actually turn and trust in the mind of love, literally in the mind of the Creator, rather than our own carbon-based memory, rather than the mind of man feeding back its rote memory lessons as though they were true, rather than a record of something that happened in the past. And a record of something that happened in the past, while it might be useful, is not alive in the present. And what we're looking to do with this work, come into actual life in the present moment, not depending on something from the past, but trusting in the present, trusting that this mind that is in us, that's greater than memory, is there and available, and will offer its strength, its corrections, and a higher level of perception than carbon-based memory ever thought of. And to even fully trust in words is a mistake. Because if we try to encapsulate something in a word, we have to leave something of the eternal, of the universal out. And to, of course, we constantly attempt to put into words what our direct experience is, but then simply hearing words where the work isn't being done. Somebody hears somebody else explain something, they go, oh, wow, that's really cool. And they get some sort of a mental boost from it. But how much more power is there in it if we have personal experience of that understanding, personally experienced, rather than through words? The words can be great. They can guide us. If we use words for a purpose they're not designed for, we're in trouble. And words were not meant to convey experiences. Words are the limit of words. My take is the limit of words is they can give us instructions on how to move into that experience, how, the how to get there. But the experience doesn't come from somebody else's words or somebody else's descriptor. And that's why so much of the focus of this work is on collapsing the perceptual mind, collapsing the mind from the past and making room, making space. The Course talks about a clean and open space within the mind, making space for the direct experience. And each time, that forgiveness is engaged in and carbon-based memories constructs collapse, it's like a moment of a near-life experience. If you read the accounts of people who've had what are called by the world near-death experiences where they clinically died, if you read them, what you realize is that they're not near-death experiences at all. They're near-life experiences. Living in one's mind means one's already dead. And when carbon-based memory and its output collapses because clinical death occurs, then the being that we are, the created essence that we are, has an opportunity to have a direct experience of who we are in this universe. And then if one happens to be resuscitated, come back from clinical death, if you start reading those stories, it's powerful to look at. Yes, Jeanie? Oh, okay, cool. Well, Miss Jeanie just told me that Terry Bowling is with us. Terry is going to be guiding our construction projects, the work we're going to do at Heartland this summer. So, and many of you met Terry. He's been a couple of years at Heartland back decade or so ago. Terry, how do you be?
Good.
Awesome.
Okay?
What's on your mind today?
And hey, Jeanie, just hello.
Mm-hmm. Say it again.
Well, I've got.
So what,
I was just saying hello.
so what's on your mind, Terry? How do you be?
What is on my mind is any information experience that you have around neuropathy. Okay.
Well, we've had two direct experiences with neuropathy and changing the dynamics of it. One of them was with Jeannie's dad, and actually, when we first got the Beamer back about, I don't know, 7 years ago, we came through Bristol and visited Jeannie's dad, and his toes were turning black due to diabetic neuropathy. He had a lot of tingling and pain in his feet and his legs, and they were talking about amputating toes because of black toe from neuropathy. And about a week, we put him on the Beamer a couple times a day for a week, and the black toe disappeared. The pink color came back to his toes. They stopped the conversation about that, and he did much better. And then when we got the Beamer, when we got the Avicen, it got to the point where the tingling in his feet disappeared, where he was only able to sit for maybe 20 or 25 minutes. He could sit for 2 hours. We'd play dominoes in the morning, and I'd say, "Dad, how are your feet doing?" Oh, I haven't even thought about them. They're fine. Whereas before the Avicen, he would be 20, 30 minutes, and that was it. And then Patrick McGann, the naturopath who introduced me to the Beamer, to the Avicen, he could do about 2 hours of work a day, and in the morning, and then he would have to be off his feet, and he'd be in excruciating pain for the rest of the day. And the thing that got my attention with the Avicen was that about just a few weeks into that, Patrick tells me, I'm up and on my feet for 5 hours, and I don't have excruciating pain. I can only work for about 5 hours, but I can, put my feet up. I'm not in excruciating pain. And now Patrick regularly shares with me he does 10, 12, 14-hour days with no problem with his feet. So they're the direct experience we've got with what you do with that. And, of course, oftentimes sugar is involved, sugar levels. And
there was
we're
also
just about to the point, Terry. Go ahead, Jean. Show's going to cut us off any second.
There's a natural neuropathy rubbing oil that's actually just frankincense and myrrh, and we use that as well.
Right. And the show's going to cut us off, so Terry, I'll call you back.
Great.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.